We haven't even got power. I'm running a generator at the moment.
We're on, guys. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with another night of talking about the Australian Knife Maker Awards. Why don't you take it from here, Ryle?
Well, as always, we'll wait until someone comments so that we know that we did successfully get live, that we haven't all dropped out and we don't know.
We have an evening all from Stefan.
Good. Stefan's on the line.
That was some sketchy stuff last week.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking away going, nah, and then it's like, why is Riley talking over the top of me? That's very rude. And I'm like, I'm not there anymore.
I'm a very rude man. That's why.
Oh, no. Just I just get carried away with all the awesome stuff that was going on.
All right. That's plenty of people. That's plenty. That's our maximum viewership, 5 people. So we'll just carry on. Welcome to the stream. We're happy to have Tony back. Tony's the guy who isn't Jamie or I, for those of you tuning in for the first time. Which one's Jamie? You'll find out in a minute. He's waved. There we go. Today we're going to cover judging and scoring. Tony's our representative from the Guild. The Guild is doing most of the judging and scoring. Thus, Tony's here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Riley Burns. I'm the markets manager at Nordic Edge, which used to be called Creative Man. I've been there for some time. And I do a lot of other stuff in other parts of the industry. Jamie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Jamie Bishop, the sausage man at Sausage Man Forge. I've been doing this stuff since about 2017. I have a podcast, which I will be recording several podcasts down at the Waterside Festival in Melbourne this weekend. So if you're down there, come and say g'day. Over to you, Tony.
Hey guys, Tony Earwaker from Tony's Bladesmithing. As they said, I'm the head judge for this. I'm a full guild member. There'll be about 5 or 6 of us from the guild that'll be judging the competition. So yeah, that's about it for me, I guess.
Okay, well.
All right.
So what is the awards? This is the Australian Knife Making Awards organised by Nordic Edge. This happens once a year. It's a knife competition in May. I think we've done it for 3 years now. Now, the entries close the 29th of May at 4 p.m. So make sure your entry's in. And for those guys that are either dropping into Luke Berkelman's Waterfall Road Hammer In or going to Waterside on the weekend, make sure you get it done early because like last year, I didn't get my entry in because I rushed it and didn't upload properly. So don't be a fool like I was. Get your entries in early. Now, with this, we're judged by photos and your description. So they're vital to get them, don't just take 4 photos and bang them in. Take, 50 photos and pick out the best ones. Put them on a big screen so you can see it properly, not just on your phone screen. All these little tips just help out. And it's an awesome way to get some feedback on your knife, and you can upload now. Entries are already open. So, Riley, back to you, mate.
And just for those of you doing the math in your head, the 29th of May is this Sunday, the end of this week, not 3 weeks in the future like I thought it was. It's in several days. So this session is all about judging and scoring, what your knife will be judged on, how your knife will be scored, and how you get your feedback. Tony, can you take us through it?
Yeah, sure. So there's 5 categories in the awards. Oops, let me just go back there. The first one is the best kit, best knife from a kit, judged by the team from the Australian Woodsmith magazine, and there'll also be some added knife enthusiasts putting in their bit as well. The other 4 categories judged by the Australian Knife Makers Guild, as we've previously gone through. Each knife is judged on an online scoring sheet, which has already been released by Nordic Edge. The the judges see what you write about yourself and the knife. As Jamie was saying before, give us a bit of information about what you've used, how you've done it. The more information, the better, as far as I'm concerned. The judges see what you write about yourself and the knife and the 4 photos that you present to us. The judges score the knives in each of 6 criteria. So the first criteria is grinds properly executed. So we'll be looking at the blade grinds, the plunge lines, the transitions, everything to do with how you've ground it. So if it needs to flow in from one side to the other, you need to make sure they flow properly. Material selection, so fit for purpose. So if it's a kitchen knife, or it's more so if it's a fishing knife, you need to be using probably stainless steel. If it's a kitchen knife, I'd personally go down the stainless steel side of it anyway. So just think about your material selection, fit for purpose, what it's going to be used for. So the next one is consistency of finish. The blade and the handle, okay, we'll be looking at the level and the consistency of the finish. So your blade can be a flat finish, can be a matte finish, that's fine. But if it's full of scratches and shit, you're going to get marked down for it, okay? If it's a mirror finish, or if you're saying it's a mirror finish and it's got scratches on it that we can see, don't say it's a mirror finish. Say it's a polish finish, or say what type of finish you got, but don't say it's a mirror finish if it's full of scratches.
What about a scratchy finish, Tony?
A scratched up finish? Well, you could have a sandblasted finish. You could have a stone finish. I probably wouldn't suggest a scratch finish, but yeah, I'm sure we'll see something like that.
So you're not suggesting tying it behind the back of the old Datsun paddock basher and doing a few laps and get that paddock finish on it? That
might give you a stone wash finish, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Up and down a gravel road, perhaps. might stuff the whole knife, but
yeah, probably.
I've seen worse on Forge and Fire, I reckon.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is design and dimensions. So the flow of the knife, the lines, the ergonomics is fit for use. Okay, so the big one I sort of look at is where the handle comes in. If you've got a guard, does it suit where the guards fits? And then does it go into the actual blade properly? So it should all sort of, where the handle finishes, come into your blade and round off, if that makes sense to everyone.
Giving away all the secrets, mate. God.
I'm trying not to go too deep into it. But
get into the weeds, mate. That's what the guys need.
Technical complexity, options to give extra points. So it's option for us to give you extra points for anything difficult or something done very well. Okay, so I've just made some points on that. Tapered tangs, obviously, I believe would give you extra points. Guards, if the guards are done well and there's a nice clean fit up. Again, same with bolsters. If you've made your own Damascus, or if you've got the money and buy a Damasteel, good luck to you. Fancy handle material, certainly if you've made it yourself. And complex grinds. So if you've done swedges, false edges, convex or concave grinds, put all that in the information sheet that you're sending to us so that we know exactly what you've done and how complex it is. Obviously, we're only going off the 4 photos that you send in, so a lot of the stuff can't be seen, but we'll try the best to do what we can with what you've seen. And then the overall impression. So the overall view of the knife, the proportions, and the impressions we get from the photos. So as well as those marks, you'll also get a judging comment. So the judging comments, again, don't take it to heart. I mentioned this way back when we first started. We'll try and give you pointers on things to improve on. And like when I was in the army, we used to always say, leave them on a high. So, we'll give you some things to work on, but we'll also try and give you points or criteria that you've done well on. So it's basically how you can improve your knife, and we'll send you down that road of getting into the guild one day, I suppose. So that's what we're trying to hope for, to try and improve on your knives and improve on your skills. Okay, so the scoring sheet itself is from 0 to 8 points in each of those criteria that I just went through. it can be hard to judge from a few photos. So as I said, make sure you let us know exactly what you've done in that write-up, in that spreadsheet, or in that, information sheet that you give us. Okay, so if something is not visible, not relevant, or just not, if we're just not sure about what you've done, we'll score it as an even 4. So that's the middle of the road. If something needs more work or is not right, you'll score less than 4. If there's something good, you'll score more than 4. Okay, so that's what I was talking about for the complex grinds, taper tangs, that sort of thing. Okay, the higher level of complexity, the more points you're going to score. We think it's a good way to make it more fair when not being able to handle the knives. Obviously, when you apply for the guild, you send your knives to the your state rep, and your state rep actually handles them, can feel them, feel how sharp they are, look at your plunge lines, look at everything on the knife. As I said, we're only going to be able to look at those 4 photos and go off the information sheet that you've given us. So the more detail and the better photos you can take without photoshopping the shit out of it, like we said a couple of weeks ago, and Jamie, he's an expert on picking this stuff up, so don't go photoshopping at all, but try and take some decent photos and knowing what he knows. You're probably going to screw yourself if you try and Photoshop the shit out of it. And I think that's about it from my side of view so far. Over to you, Riley.
All right. So each knife is judged against those 6 criteria. There are many different, there may be different numbers of judges between categories. So each score is averaged across different judges. Minimum of 2 judges per category, maybe more than 2. And each judge will provide their own verbatim feedback. So the more judges, the better. And your final score is a single number from 0 to 8, which is based on the averages of those criteria. This final score decides who wins a category. For example, you might get 5.6 out of 8 from what I'm seeing here. Jamie, do you want to talk through the scoring sheet?
Okay, well, I reckon Bjorn will throw up that scoring sheet in a second. And so basically it's just like a there we go, spreadsheet with dots on it. We're going to look at those, focusing on each criteria. And then, we're not going to mark you down if we can't see something, but, as in if it's implied in the photos, we would assume that it's an average 4. And then again, like we said, down if there's scratches and up if there's complexity. So again, your photos are key. That's all we've got to judge them on. So, and this is the legacy of this happening during lockdown. So we're just still running with that theme. And it's an interesting way to run a knife show. So that that's what makes it a great event. And the other one is your description. Your description should also complement, like as in your photo should complement your description and vice versa, so that you're not just rambling about stuff that's not in the not part of what the photos show. It could describe a feature that is probably difficult to photograph, but you know what I'm saying. It's got to add to each other. And I guess the pro tip would be to download the guild assessment sheet for the probies. I guess the sheets for probies and full members, but that
Jamie, I got a copy of it here. I'm holding up straight off the website.
Yeah, Bjorn, you want to flick back to Tony?
I'm not sure if I'm
no, not yet, mate. It'll come in a sec. There we go.
Right, so that's straight off the Australian Knife Makers Guild website, and it goes through in detail about proper grinds, how they're executed, what you should be looking at, edge thickness appropriate to the knife, plunge cuts and symmetry, spine and ricasso, clean and well executed, edge properly sharpened, point centered, sharp and well defined, consistency of finish, blade taper and symmetry, effective grip length, contouring. The list goes on. Just one pro tip, if I can, for the beginners. Be your own judge. Judge yourself harshly, because then I guess we don't have to do it. if you judge yourself harshly, then you know what's going to be wrong with it. If you go off that list in the guild, you're going to be ahead to start with. The biggest one I see with beginners' knives is the front of the scales. So not polishing the front of your scales before you put them on the blade. So a big tip from me, polish the front of your scales before you put them on. Then you won't scratch up your blade trying to finish your blade off with your scales.
Yeah, mate.
Sorry, mate, jumping on.
No, perfect, mate. It's what it's all about, adding to the conversation. I guess I remember my first knife I ever made. I happened to stumble on Sean McIntyre at the Sydney Knife Show, and he was just there on the guild table, and I took this knife in. It was just a stock removal 1084 kitchen knife, and I took it to him, and he looked over it, and he said to me, "Oh, that's a nice knife, well done." And I said, "Yeah, it's my first one I've made. Had a bit of help, Robbie Fraser gave me some help." And then I said, "So what do you reckon?" He goes, "Oh, it's a nice knife." And I go, "Well, I really want," and he goes, "Well, you tell me what you think's wrong with it." And I went through and I said, "Well, this, I said that the handle scales didn't fit up properly, and this, that, and the other." There was a half a dozen things that I picked out, and he goes, "Awesome. You're going to be, you're going on the right track because you can already see where you've made mistakes." And then he added a few things, and then he also told me how to get my handle scales flat, by putting them on a piece of glass or granite and sandpaper them down. And so he didn't just go, "Yeah, you did this wrong." He asked me what I thought, then he corrected it, and then he added the process to remove that problem that I was facing. And so I think that in doing this competition, you want to ask for that feedback, but you also want to be realistic about where you're at. And if you're beginning, there's a lot of shit you still got to learn. And so it's okay, but you're throwing it out there so that you can get better and improve from there.
Yeah, totally agree with you. If you look at the judging sheet or the scoring sheet for the actual guild assessment, one of the tips I got was score yourself first. And if you can't pass scoring yourself, there's no point sending your knives in. So, you'll be your own worst judge, your own worst enemy. So judge yourself first and then send it in, and we'll see how we go.
And I mean, it doesn't matter. Again, guys like Sean and Peter Del Rasso will find every fault in every knife because they're just got an eye for it. And it's like when I go in somewhere as an electrician and I see a light fitting that's crooked and I cannot unfocus it. I'm like, oh my God, it's doing my head in. It's like that with those guys, and that's how you need to get so you make fantastic knives.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Do we want to talk about the feedback?
Yeah, okay. So after the winners are announced, you'll get your feedback form back. This is probably the most important part to most makers, to see what improvements you can make, where you've been scored against your peers. It's a chance to review if the judges gave some helpful points. Hopefully we will. We're not just going to shitbag you. We're trying to lift you up to boost your knife making skills. Just note, guys, that it's not anonymous. Anyone in your category that you present a knife to will be able to see your name, your score, and your feedback. We think it's helpful comparing your work to others, but also those other guys can see the feedback that you've gotten. That might help them as well. So that's probably the takeaway point of everyone seeing your feedback in your category. So don't be worried about it. Don't be embarrassed by it, I guess. Just look at it as a way to improve yourself and to improve others, I guess. So these are the judges that we've got here from the guild so far. Sorry, I'm just trying to scroll across. I can't. Oh, there we go. Got it up there. So it's myself, Jackson Rumble, Kevin Room, who's the Queensland rep, Elster Phillips, Warwick Edmonds, and Jamie Sausage Man. So there's a wide range of experience in all different categories. Like Jackson's probably one of my biggest idols, I suppose. I'm a big Jackson fan. He's, topped the Journeyman Smith assessment for the the American Knife Makers Guild. So, the work that he produces is phenomenal. So, you've got a wide range of judges with different skill sets. So, thrive off the feedback that you get from us, guys. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice. So, obviously, 6 categories, I think. All the categories except Best Knife from Kit are judged by those guild members. Best Knife from Kit has its own judging panel, which is the team from Australian Woodsmith, Chris Clark, and knife maker Stu Dennis, as well as a few well-known people in the industry, including Pierre Mefflin of Mefflin Knives, who is a great friend of the Edge. And yeah, we're glad to have him on board. And obviously that category is around your fit and finish of a handle to a pre-made blade. So it's an entirely different ball game. So yeah, looking forward to seeing the knives submitted in that category too. So that gets us to the end of our judging and scoring content. Before we get into the next bit, are there any questions from the people who are listening at home? Because we've got a few minutes in the schedule this time to take some questions.
Well, while we're waiting for that, we're just talking about Jackson. This is the blade that I did with Jackson down at Tharwa Valley just before the symposium, the KEA masterclass. So I'm pretty happy with that. At this point, I can't enter it because I finished it before.
Yeah, how many days did you blokes do that one over?
4 days. She still needs a bit more, but
I did the same course with Jackson. We did ours in 2 days. Holy dooly, we were going for it.
Yeah, well, I reckon. Like, how many people though was on yours?
3.
Yeah, right. We had 6. Yeah, and some of the guys, like everyone had their skill set where they were better at one thing than the other. But it just compounded. Like that's still got some marks around the guard that I need to finish off. Yeah, thanks, Scott. It's but I've just sat here and looked at it. It's not sharp yet. I just haven't done anything with it since then. But technically, I could sharpen it and then it'd be finished this month, wouldn't it? That's
not now that you wanted to judge as well.
Oh no, I can't do that. That's a stitch up, isn't it? But anyway, have we got some questions coming in?
We have no questions coming in. Just more praise for Jamie's nice knife.
Oh yeah, Broden's going to start his on Saturday. I reckon you get one done, mate. You bang out one on that 48-hour dagger challenge. I reckon you'd almost get it done.
Can you see that? That's the one I did with Jacko.
Yeah, right. Okay, nice.
Yeah, very nice.
So they are a very nice blade.
Yeah, he certainly got an eye for it.
Yeah.
I odds on. I mean, there's a few other fellas that are journeyman smith, but I reckon Jackson will be our next master smith in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's on the ball and he's making like crazy. So
I think he's just waiting for the time to elapse before he can apply. To be honest, I think he's already there.
Next year, I reckon he's going.
Yeah,
massive fanboy.
All right.
So,
sorry, just before we go, Troy's just it's probably back to front, but he's just mentioning that there's some engraving from our engraving ninja. So it's got my touch mark on there and the Sausage Man Forge. First time I've had a knife that was big enough to get that stuff.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions there, guys. Sorry.
Let's get into them then.
Mick Webb, are we getting good numbers? Bjorn or Jamie, you probably know the answer to that, I suppose.
Look,
17 so far, as my understanding. But last year, 2/3 of the entries were in the last 2 days, and a number of them were in on the Sunday. So I've got a lot of people messaging me to tell me that they're making knives, but we'll see the color of their steel, so to speak.
Okay, Daryl Clark's written, wondering about availability of pre-cut blanks not necessarily ground like at Gamaco. If you're going in that first competition where you're using a blank, you can get your blank from anywhere. It can come from Australian knife blanks. Nordic Edge sells them. Gamaco sells them.
Yeah, there's no
The
restriction on
States
that.
sell them. You can get it from anywhere. Yep.
But it has to be a kit, as it were. It's not not taking the design offline, online, finding a design, sending it off to a laser jetter who does that kind of stuff, and then getting it in. That's not a kit, as it were. You got to buy a pre-made thing. So, but other than that, if you just, anyone that's got it and you're getting hand and material, knife and whatever, it's up to you how much extra effort you put in on that.
And I guess the next question there would be, would a complicated build account for many extra points? Like, obviously technical complexities in there, but the advice we've traditionally given people is execute the best knife you know you can confidently execute, rather than making a poorly executed, very complicated knife. You'll get better scoring on a well-executed, simple knife.
Yeah, you can put all the bells and whistles on it. You can put, guards and bolsters and swedges and this, that, and the other on there. But if it looks like shit, then it still looks like shit. You can't put lipstick on a pig and take it on a date.
There's some country wisdom, Tony.
Well, I don't know. I've seen a few of the girls in the nightclubs here.
Mate, I've worked in the mines. I'm pretty sure that is a thing.
I was in the army for 23 years.
All right.
There we go.
And on that note, if there's no more questions before we all get fired, we're going to roll right into giveaway time. Everybody loves giveaway time. So we've got 3 prizes to give away today, as always. We got a crazy acrylic pack.
No, just before you go, Scott Edwards, but you can roll it in glitter.
Ooh.
Anyway, I won't say any more on that matter.
A crazy acrylic pack. 1 block of Sunfire and 1 block of Strawberry Swirl acrylic, for those of you playing at home. Prize 2 is a pre-milled handle block pack. 1 black walnut and birch and 1 golden sandalwood and rosewood. And the third prize is a mystery box of stabilized handle material.
Sorry, can I just jump in there, guys? Mick Webb's asked, I did a tape of Tang but didn't submit it. But how would I have taken the photo, or how would I have taken that in the 4 photos to suit? I would suggest you would take the photo from the back of the handle, looking down the spine would be one of the photos that I'd definitely take to capture that, I guess, because then you'll also capture your taper.
Oh, and you'll capture the symmetry of your handle, which if you've got a tapered Tang, an asymmetrical handle sticks out heaps more when you've got that focal point in the center. So
and you'd also see if your guard fitted up well as well, if you had a guard on it.
Definitely. Glad people had the opportunity to ask. So we've got these 3 prizes. The first question for those of you playing at home. Now, you're 30 seconds behind us. So there's a lag. So just bear in mind, it'll take us a minute to see your answers. But the first person in the chat with the correct answer wins the prize. Very simple. So for the crazy acrylic pack, who makes the dog's head hammers that we sell at Nordic Edge?
Is that the Japanese style dog's head hammers, Riley?
Yeah. And also I think some of our rounding hammers, but not all of our rounding hammers. I will accept either the person's name or the name of their company.
Oh,
Jack Knight. Crushed
How's the
it.
boy? Well done.
So, yes, Jacob McNamara, plain old iron. He's also a veteran and a friend of the Edge.
And he's edgy.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say edgy, but yeah, no, he's definitely a guy we like to support. Anytime we have the opportunity to buy something made in Australia, we will. So that's great. I might do this second one, and then I'll let you do the third one, Jamie.
Okay.
So for the pre-milled handle block pack, also, if you win this prize, make sure that you have a look at the construction photo on our website so that you don't grind into the socket that is holding this construction together. It's very simple when you look at it in a photo, but yeah, just give it a look. So obviously, Jamie and I are running these awards this year, but can you tell me who my co-host was in last year's knife making awards? Jaden Ward.
Yep.
Yeah. Third prize winner could just as well be his name. I think he said it more times than his name last year. But
that's solid gold right there.
No, the answer is my very good friend, Darren Ilias, from 2 by Forge and Wood's the worst that could happen in sunny Victoria. So we're very grateful for his continued contributions also, and he's very entertaining at a Christmas party, let me tell you. Jamie, do you want to run that third one for me?
Yeah, why not? So for the mystery box of stabilized handle material, which funnily enough looks like that handle material could be the same thing that was in the suitcase in Pulp Fiction, given the angle of that photo. There's a couple of blocks of dyed and a couple of stabilized blocks. So one of the hosts here this evening is holding a hammer in August 27th. Where will it be held? That's August 27th. A hammer in. Oh, and Nathan.
No. There we go.
Yes. Oh, no.
Darren.
It's not.
Yeah, it's Darren.
Darren's
the question
got him.
was where.
The question was where, not who.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Nathan Connellan, I don't think so. But
Darren Ilias, who we just gave a significant shout out to, also gets a prize. What a good day to be Darren.
You know, it would have even been better if Darren had answered Darren Ilias. That would have been funny. But anyway, it might have been a stitch up though.
Well, I think he's done a good job. He's done a good job there, not stitching up the question about himself. He is a quiet and retiring guy, so that's not a huge surprise.
Okay, so Darren, congratulations to all the prize winners this evening. So Jack Knight, Jaden Ward, and Darren Ilias.
Oh, that comment from James Brooke about Darren winning third again.
Woo! Oh, it's the gift that keeps giving.
Oh wow! I mean, it's a good time.
You know what? So Darren, third place club, we're still there, mate. Still there, third place club. See, I just had to squeeze that in. Second last one.
I almost forgot. Right. So if you win, you get a trophy, right? And this trophy arrived in the mail this week, so I could show it to you. It's this fine wooden plaque with brass engraving.
That's fancy.
Very fancy. You can put that on the wall in your man cave or
stroke it.
Yeah. Cupboard you're allowed to keep your stuff in your house if your life's like mine. Yeah, no. So we've got some time for a chat. Does anybody have any questions? Is there anything unclear or that is stopping you from taking part? Because we'd really like everyone who makes a knife in the month of May, ideally, to enter. So if you've made a knife and you're not planning to enter, why? Because we'd like you to enter. So if anybody's got any more questions, we'd love to answer them while we're still on the line.
I've had a few messages from guys over the last probably week and a half asking me questions. So I'm happy to take questions, guys. I don't mind. I don't bite. Happy to help out where I can.
Me too, mate. I fielded a few. So, yeah, it's helping out where we can. Usually questions about, can I make this kind of Damascus or that kind of thing, or do this or do that. But it's the most excellently executed knife you can make with the resources you got. So,
where do you get a decent touch mark for blacksmithing?
I know a guy.
I've got an Alibaba link I'll send you, Troy. But I'll do it offline. Jaden, in answer to your question, if you're doing a kit knife, do you need to show pictures of the blade or just the handle? I would always want to show a picture at the very least of where the blade transitions into the handle, just to make sure that there isn't a bunch of glue there or scratches where you glued the handle on before you did the front of the scales and then you used it on the grinder while the blade was glued on and you gashed the blade. Ask me how I know. We would certainly want the blade to appear in one of the photos, but it doesn't need to be the focus in that category.
I'd say you'd have to show the blade to make sure the handle material matches.
The style.
I mean,
actually
and that it is a knife and not just a handle on a popsicle stick.
Well, one of the photographic criteria is the overall knife. That's one of the shots. So it's got to be handled, blade, and then everything else will be focused on your handle if you're doing the kit knife. So that's one of those 4 shots is taken up with that full all over shot. So I would suggest that should be where you go with that one.
So I'll hit Glenn's question first, followed by Scott's question. Glenn, you can absolutely make yours at Waterfall Road if you want to. Just remember that in the spirit of the awards, you should do all of the work on it. So when Luke very kindly is like, can I just have a go at that for a minute? You have to say no, because he will offer to help. You have to do all the work on the knife. As far as what classifies a dagger, I don't know about historically, but in this context, it's probably classified as a knife that has 2 edges that are sharpened on the whole length of the blade. I think that would probably qualify in this case. An oyster knife and a dagger look quite similar, but an oyster knife doesn't have sharpened edges on the blade. It's just the point that's sharp. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, hopefully Tony can give you a better answer.
Yeah, look, to me, I guess a dagger is anything with double-edged, I guess. I
guess there aren't a lot of styles of knife that are double-edged in the scheme of things.
I wouldn't class a false edge as being sharpened as a dagger. To me, it's got to be 2 full edges up both sides, I suppose, of the blade. You're not gonna put a oyster shucker in and say it's a dagger. You're gonna put an oyster shucker in and say it's an oyster shucker.
You're right.
Call it what it is, I suppose.
I think in New South Wales they've got that thing about if it has an edge and a serrated edge, it's a problem. So you've just got to make a knife that has 2 serrated edges, and then that's fine somehow, like a double bread knife. I don't know. Maybe I'll make one of those. Maybe I'll finish something. I think that'll probably wrap us up for time on question time. Jamie, do you want to hit the next bit?
Yeah, well, no problem. I guess that's a wrap, guys. So thanks for watching. Thank you to the prize sponsors. It's more fun that way. Good luck to everyone taking part. And remember, entries close this Sunday. So what's that? 4 days time, 29th of May at 4 p.m. at Sydney time. So at least everyone on the Eastern Seaboard, if you guys are going up to Glen, if you're going up to Luke's, at least it's the same. They're normally an hour behind in when we're having daylight saving. So it's all good now that your times will be right. Don't miss the winners announcement stream next Wednesday, 1st of June at 8 p.m. We'll be here.
Yeah, we'll sort that out. And I just want to quickly spit out this clarification from the Edge on high. We only want single-edged, fixed-bladed knives entered in the awards. So we can have a conversation for as many hours as people like about what constitutes a dagger. But I've had it clarified. Knives that have one edge, obviously false edges don't count, that are fixed. And that way, nobody's going to have an unpleasant surprise when they, strayed a little outside of that and discover that they've got a problem. So, again, thank you to our sponsors, which Jamie has done, but I'll thank them again. Heron Forbes, Nordic Edge, Heimdall and Freya, Woodsmith Magazine, Mike Massian Photography, Olight, Oblivion Blades, and Aussie Outback Supplies, and of course, Nordic Edge.
Thank you.
I hope everybody has a great rest of their week and makes a cracking knife.
Remember, be your own judge. Be your worst enemy. Show us the best you can, guys.